sorely missed today, and he could be bringing some extra structure to Okami that might be sorely missed. Lava as well. I know everyone called, oh, Sub, he's the baiter, blah, 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 blah. I know Lava is a very aggressive player, much more aggressive than Sub, so maybe, some of their entry woes have been a little bit alleviated, but of course, we'll have to see Ariel Rise bring in Kento, who, I mean, we just can't talk enough about from his performance from last stage. I mean, he was getting PL tryouts.
Yeah, I mean, a very impressive performance last stage. Deserve it so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see in these bans exactly what kind of Oregon we're in for. Maybe a bit of a different one than last time, hopefully. Looks like the Ying will come out first as that ban. And the Thatcher will come out second. So pretty standard attacking bans. The Flores will stay in the mix here, but the Candela's taken off the board. That will definitely change something up. The Mira gone as well. Same thing as last time we saw this map, and the Wamai as well. The defensive bans are going to stay pretty stock standard. It does seem, however, that we've got our bans locked in, but we do have a bit of a rehost while we get this lobby situated. So a little bit more time to talk about a couple of these changes. And Crow, I noticed our predictions were split on this one. You were headed towards Okami. I was headed towards Ariel Rise. First, I'll hit you with my explanation. Stage 2, right, was this shift in the teams we saw from Stage 1. They came into Stage 2, and it seemed like they disappeared from greatness, right? It was Ape. Now Wichita Wolves, who absolutely fell off the wagon, and it was the same story for KCP, who came into Stage 2 and did not perform up to snuff. I'm hoping that with this change, bringing in Beastly, bringing in Kento, they're going to maybe return to this form, and that's why I picked them out here today.
Yeah, I definitely get that thought process. I like the return of Beastly, and of course Kento I think is a solid addition to literally any roster, especially over a player like Inrio, who was trying to kind of play like more of a baity entry sledge rather than really play the utility, so glad they're going to have like a really solid sledge player now. But Okami, I mean, losing Prompted and Sub is big. That's a huge blow. But the trio that stayed, Exile, Wav, and Raffi, I do have to say, were pretty consistent. They weren't, especially Wav and Raffi. Raffi, after he was moved on to support from primary entry, which was kind of weird, kind of a reverse from what we saw from Penguin last stage, Raffi performed extremely well in the hard support. I'm pretty sure he's back to primary entry with Lava as secondary, but Raffi was very consistent. Wav, ever since he's been moved to flank watch, we have seen his play get exponentially better. Exile was consistently like mid. He was never like, he was great only a couple times. He was kind of underperforming a couple times, but he was always very, very average. He was very consistent. And now that he's had a whole stage to mesh with this roster, I can only imagine he's going to get better. Sonar brings a hell of a lot more structure to the team than I think Prompted could, because of where Sonar is coming from. And Lava, if I can tell you a little story, we can call it the vignette of Wichita Wolves, old Wichita Wolves, not old with Devil, but old. Lava and Exile played extensively with each other before, and I remember Gavin and Michael always used to tell me their favorite thing about that team was working off of each other. So hopefully Lava and Exile can bring that same chemistry and that same duo play to this team as well.
Yeah, we've got, I guess, like Brimstone highlighted, we've got a bit of, mirror storylines here. Both of these teams, they have extreme potential. We've seen them at their peak, and we've also seen them at a couple of their lows. What are we going to get this season? I suppose we'll get a good bit of that taste right here on Oregon as we get things started. Now that we've got our lobby all situated, we've got Ariel Rise on the defensive side. They're going to be starting things off downstairs in the basement, and Okami on the attacking side will be starting out with a pretty standard attacking lineup, aside from that one extra element of the Twitch. This is something we've seen come up a bit more ever since the most recent patch, and those Twitch drones had a pretty sizable buff with the unlimited range of that gadget, and the fact that Twitch now has the ability to use a regular drone during the prep phase. Plus, those Twitch drones can now jump around all over the place. So we have been seeing... Oh, and Pop Goyo Shield. So all of those buffs, right, have contributed to a rise in her pick rate, not only in now we're seeing CL, but the NAL as well. But
All right.
unfortunately, a Twitch drone is not going to stop you from walking in to Kento lying in wait. Raffi is going to find a bit of a troubling start for this one, as Okami will already lose one body.
That is not what you want to see from your debut round as a new roster. A little bit of misdrone there. Well, I can't really say it was misdrone. I think it was just Raffi getting ahead of the drone, either by his own volition or a call from one of his teammates. But Kento will win the battle of the entries, at least the first one. And they're losing a lot of fragging power when it comes to Raffi, and they're also losing those breaching rounds. There are 4 shields and a Malusi on the board right now. You need every single bit of destruction you can get. Now, they do have the Twitch drones, which could potentially pop Goyo shields. And you do have, the nades and the Gon on the Iana, the nades on the Maverick, but you're losing a little bit of that buffer.
First going to be tested down here in Freezer. We'll see Exile bring that Twitch drone on through, but it will be quickly spotted out and dealt with, and that is another valuable piece of utility destroyed. With that in mind, it seems that Okami are going to go for a bit of a rotation, initially putting all of that pressure onto Freezer. We saw how Ariel Rise immediately rotated a good bit of that utility around. Now Okami are going to seize this opening and get aggressive elsewhere. They're now rotating over to this tower side, and Lava sending down that clone to figure out exactly what they're dealing with in Pillar. And just look at all these orange outlines. Ariel Rise, they are scrambling now to relocate all of this utility and to refocus on a complete other side of the map. The question is, can Okami move in quick enough so Ariel Rise aren't quite prepared for this? And unfortunately, I don't know if that's the case. Everyone has now repositioned. You've got both Wimpy and Diaz now holding down in Pillar, waiting for this push to come in. And so yet again, we're seeing Okami adjust. Sonar, bottom of laundry stairs, Lava now creeping up in Freezer, looking to catch them off guard.
Unfortunately for Exile as well, we saw both of his Twitch drones were unable to find any effectiveness at all. Lava will be spotted out by that Banshee, so they know exactly where he's coming from. Gomez playing, I believe, close bomb chest. I don't even know where Gomez is. He's going to get the first kill before Exile trades on the Diaz. But this shield proving unfortunate for Okami. Wav is going to run out of ammo, whip out the Bearing 9, be able to find his second kill, but not finish the round off. Still 2 members of the defense persisting. I think that round definitely got a lot closer than I expected, but Okami, you kept talking about Okami adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. All those adjustments costs a lot of time. And because they never dedicated themselves to one spot, they didn't really have any utility clear for where they ended up.
Yeah, I was surprised. Maybe the first adjustment, I was more impressed than I was surprised how quickly they were able to switch. But then switching back again after clearly and intentionally rotating everyone over towards Pillar and E-Box, that was what caught me off guard. And that was what I think may have cost Okami the round. Not to say that Ariel Rise was necessarily prepared for that second switch, but even if they didn't have every piece of utility dedicated the exact right way, they still had the bare minimum to get the job done. They still had that laundry shield that Diaz was tucked behind, or actually I think maybe it was Wimpy tucked behind that shield because Diaz was on the Malusi. But either way, they still had those necessary positions held, and they didn't give up that ground easily, even though Okami were fluid in their adjustments and proved that if Ariel Rise have a good setup here, if they have this utility here, we can quickly jump and move around. I agree with your point, Harrison. The time may have got the better of them a little bit, and that eagerness to rotate and adjust may have cost them in the end.
We'll see if they're able to find any success on Dorms, yet again bringing the exact same lineup. Similar to last Oregon, we see the Valkyrie still left up, which is definitely a little bit odd. Another thing we didn't touch on is the fact that Wamai is banned and Flores is left up, but Okami are bringing the Twitch over the floors, which is a little bit interesting. Wow! Ooh. They knew. Okami are knowers. Wimpy read like a book. That'll be the first pick towards Okami, as well as a C4 off the board for the defense.
That is a fantastic way to start from Okami. Not sure if that was an intentional bait, but it definitely seemed that 2 players were trained on that jump out. They knew it was coming, and they were quick to punish Ariel Rise for that aggression. That aggression is going to come out again, but this time the run out comes from Diaz, and he will also be silenced, put straight into the grave, and now Kento is next on the chopping block. Raffi comes from below, and with help from a player on the window repel, Okami now go up huge, a 5-2 advantage, now 5 versus 1, as Gomez is swiftly cut down as well. Beastly left alone. The aggression from Ariel Rise definitely costing them in the end. This one's going to take a miracle.
I love the clear from Okami. Beautifully put together. Not only wary of the run out from Wimpy, DS. Okay, it's a combination of a really good clear from Okami and blind over aggression from the defense. Exile battling against the Goyo now is going to be unable to land the shots, but as he rotates through, there's the finisher. It's flawless for Okami. And again, if I could just touch on that over aggression, not only does Wimpy get caught on his run out, it's whatever, you know, that's just one run out. DS following up, questionable at best. Then, because DS follows up, you have less manpower over on that side of the map. Okay, whatever. Next up is the Master Hold, right? Okay, Ariel are very far pushed up. They have a man in armory. They've got someone contesting, like, you know, the closet, Master head hole area. So what do Okami do? They don't push into Master. They clear the guy from below, which is, you know, it seems like common sense, but not a lot of teams do that. Raffi using his breaching charges expertly with Sonar holding from the window. Kento had absolutely no escape. And then what do we see right after that, Jonah? Gomez gets over aggressive. He's the smoke.
Yeah.
He tries to make a play to bring something back for his team and gets killed by Wav. Pro. You can't be doing that. And I hope that kind of over aggression with Ariel, you know, especially with bringing a player like Kento back in, doesn't keep hurting them.
Yeah, that amount of aggression from Ariel Rise was shocking, to say the least. You lost your first player to over-aggression, your second player to over-aggression, your third player to just a beautiful clear from Okami, and then your fourth player to what? Over-aggression. Come on, guys. You gotta eventually stop swinging. And, you know, I'm hoping that's what they adjust to in round number 3. They're gonna adjust the bomb site at least. They'll head to meeting in kitchen now. And they'll change up their lineup actually quite substantially. They'll keep the Valkyrie, but Diaz will now take up that mantle because Wimpy is pulling out the Alibi and Beastly will be pulling out the Echo. So they're adding another tier to this information game that can be quite pivotal, in fact, when it comes to the top-down clear that Okami would generally like to do on a tertiary bomb site like this. You have those Echo drones roaming around that top floor to assist those players holding down kids, and that might just be the perfect amount of intel you need to shut down that push, or at the very least, to rotate away in time before the full brunt of that attack comes in.
Okami will start opening attic pretty early on. Of course, that's not where the bomb site is. It's in meeting. They've got an Echo to support as well, but it is, well, it's just Beastly and Kento up here. Normally what you'll see is like someone attic, someone kids, and then maybe kind of a flex player hovering around white. But Ariel aren't too concerned by that. Their other 3 players are anchored in meeting itself. So this is not an odd defense, but definitely the positioning is unorthodox, I guess we'll say, as Wimpy is looking to get aggressive on the Hibana holes. I'm not quite sure if he's been completely droned out. First gas canister goes out as well, deals a little bit of chip damage to Sonar as Wimpy gets ready to drop the hatch.
Yeah, he does have an escape route if he needs it, but he's still pretty content to hold this aggressively. He's got to be careful, though, because Raffi is coming from above, but he doesn't seem to mind. He'll take the head of lava without thinking twice. And now, finally, falling back a little bit further. No, actually pushing up more aggressively. He'll hold the close angle on the breach, and that will cost him his life. Exile claiming that kill, equalizing us at 4 versus 4 now that we cross that 60-second mark, and Okami continue to get aggressive. The good bit of intel we talked about from Diaz, it's at play. Identified the player. That's going to be Sonar pushing up in the green hall by kitchen. But it looks like this top-down clear I talked about is nowhere in sight. Okami are going straight for this objective. They're just holding off a potential attic rotation, and right now it's working. Wav claims the next, and now Sonar is going for this plan.
There's not going to be anything to stop it either. It looks like the Echo drones have been cleared, and there's that flank watch in Attic bearing fruit. Beastly gets one. The player coming off the plant dies, and the cover dead. Beautiful two-piece from the Echo, but is that going to be enough? He's got 30 seconds to play with to kill both the Frenchies of Okami, and one is upstairs, one is very far back in Attic. He'll start sticking, but quickly fall off, and so will the attackers, knowing that they don't have to push this aggressively. He'll keep baiting out. Unfortunately, the flash will whiff, but it'll still get Beastly off the plant, and Raffi from the hatch finishes him off. Okami with another really good clear. Wimpy, despite starting it off for his team, Exile getting the refrag, spotting out the position of Gomez, aggressive by the sandbag corner and the shield dying as well. And Raffi killing that player in Attic. All the pieces very perfectly fitting in for Okami.
Yeah, great effort there, no doubt in the end in that retake, but unfortunately that's just not a situation you can win. When you've got two attackers in a post plant who are spread out and know exactly where the diffuser is, not only that, but have a perfect avenue to swing you once they hear that third or even that fourth tick on the diffuser, at that point, great effort, but you're not going to be able to get that one done. Okami, that was a solid attack, I've got to say. They didn't do your standard approach on the top floor, the approach that Ariel Rise were definitely expecting based on the setup that we saw and the amount of top floor presence and utility they had devoted to that. Instead, Okami went straight for the meeting wall and went straight for that plant. Yes, it took them a while. They still had several things to get done on that checklist. They had to make sure that kitchen door from Green Hall, that was clear. Nobody would swing them from there. They had to make sure Attic itself was clear as well, and nobody would be actively swinging on that hatch or going for an aggressive flank. But once they got that kill onto Wimpy, who was playing maybe a bit too aggressively in the middle of meeting, and once they got that line of sight into Attic, at that point, the site was pretty much theirs. They could get that plant down, and Ariel Rise were forced to collapse upon it, and Okami were more than happy to collect those frags as they worked their way into the site.
I like the change from Okami, though. Exile so far has been playing a carousel of operators. He is off the Twitch onto the other droner, onto the Flores, which I think is going to work a lot better for the way they attack this, especially with just, again, how many shields that these guys are bringing. Raffi? All right, there we go. Raffi is also not dead 30 seconds into the round, so that's good. I think we're definitely going to need to wait, till later to see the full effect of the Flores, but for now, Okami, they have nothing that's contesting them. There's no roamers at all. Everyone on the defense is playing pretty passive, and, that guy, that silhouette is on the lower stairs, so Raffi cannot quite see him. They might drone him out soon. I hope they drone him out soon for Lava's sake. No, Wimpy is just going to end up falling back. So, minute down, Okami have pretty much fully cleared the map. They're making pretty decent time.
And they're exactly where they want to be right now, slowly taking map control, slowly just chipping away at the hold Ariel Rise have tried to manufacture on this site, or on the really entire map as a whole, but Ariel Rise aren't going to mind giving up that control with relative ease. Okami have forced their way through. Ariel Rise aren't going to contest that very heavily. Instead, they're going to just hold down Freezer, hold down the site itself, and well, they may have a bit of trouble doing that. Nobody was positioned in Freezer itself to stop that Rotero drone from simply waltzing on in and dealing with that shield. The hatch is open, and so that generally does encourage a fall back, but a perfect Rotero drone again will now take out yet another shield. Ariel Rise just aren't holding the positions necessary to deal with these drones, and that means they're finding their utility is being burned away in front of their eyes. Okami are making a very good adjustment on the basement site because utility was the biggest problem last time, and yet again, that's another shield gone.
The shield play so far being nullified by the Rotero drones as Sonar gets the first pick in the round onto Diaz, but will very quickly get traded off. Lava the next to fall. Gomez now with a double. Raffi stuck between a rock and a hard place, right into a crossfire, and everybody on Okami is dead. Despite the perfect utility play, they simply just cannot push in. They lose all their gunfights, and Ariel hold on.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it looked like it was collapsing for Ariel Rise there, but at the end of the day, you can burn all the utility you want, but you still got to get that frag, and you've still got to get those bomb down at least. In any case, Ariel Rise will take the round, and they'll do so with what seemed like relative ease. They didn't overly aggress compared to some of the mistakes we've seen them make in the past. Instead, they were more than happy to sit back and wait. that strategy paid off in this case because Okami, despite making very good early progress and dealing with just about every shield and every power position Ariel Rise could possibly hold, eventually, Okami just found the losing end of a lot of gunfights, really all within the same few seconds. Ariel Rise seemed to have a very good understanding of where Okami was pushing from, and almost as if they were an executing attacking team, 3-2-1 swing, and the attack was taken care of.
The good thing for Okami though is that that's only their second round loss on the attacking side. They're already at 2 rounds. Oh, there we go. They're already at 2 rounds. They've pretty much reached their minimum quota for the attacking side on Oregon. They still got 2 rounds to go. So, it's absolutely not too late for Okami to garner an even half, which would be huge. Or even, if somehow they're able to take back that momentum and string together 2 more, a 4-2 half, which would be even better. Ariel Rise are yet again going to be playing far up front towards Trophy with the Aruni Gate, the Shield and Trophy, the open games wall into Closet to really make sure Okami have a tough time. Once again, there's a player in Armory. I imagine that's Kento as the Aruni, as he was there last time. Now he knows how Okami clear this. He should be ready for the downstairs play, and when that hatch eventually gets opened, hopefully he's ready to fight back.
Yeah, this exact position was contested last time. First, it's maybe a nade or a couple of bullets from Sonar on the window. That nade will roll through, and it will be perfectly successful. The hatch didn't even need to be opened from below because the nade, as it killed Kento, did that work at the same time. So quick work is once again made of the Aruni, tucked in Armory. This extended setup on the top floor, not paying dividends right now for Ariel Rise. Wimpy about inches away from seeing lava below, but lava pops right up and deletes Wimpy right back. Gomez finally has an answer in some way, but quickly neutralized by Sonar as he swings the long haul as well. Beastly and Diaz now left to hold this site down themselves in a 2 versus 4 situation, as Okami now, with a 90 seconds still to go, ample time to make something happen, and simply drone out this site, figure out what they're dealing with, take care of this utility before eventually just swooping in to finish this round off.
There we go. Finally, we see this Twitch coming into play, able to get a Goya Shield and a Valk Cam. So if anyone pushes up white late, there's nothing there to spot them. Okami's clear once again, lethal. I like how they switched up how they cleared Armory. Well, whether or not that was a switch up or how it was supposed to go the first time. Very well done. And the players playing in Trophy were not ready for just the aggressive stance up Armory stairs that Okami had prepared for them. It's a 4v2 for this attack. It'll be pretty hard pressed to lose this unless Beastly and Diaz, we've seen Diaz do incredible stuff before. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to find the scoreboard just yet. He's going to need to, as he's in a 1v3 as he finds Exile on the rappel. Plant now going down from Wav, Lava on the close cover with Sonar inside of Kids to make sure that Diaz has nowhere safe to go. There's even a shield for Sonar to play behind as the plant gets forfeit, and Wav, the planter himself, finishes the round, and Okami will keep that 1-round advantage.
Another strong attack from Okami. Can't help but think Ariel Rise and the over-aggression got them a little bit in trouble yet again. Really, it's the extension and the hold they're choosing that also is a little bit problematic. The Aruni in Armory, the hold we've now seen on both of their dorms' attempts has been a tremendous failure. You could put it that way. I mean, both times that position has gained them nothing and cost them a body. And that is not what you're looking to do with an extension like Armory. And there's a reason we don't see it from many teams. It requires a more courageous team to try that kind of hold. And don't get me wrong, it's good to see that Ariel Rise are trying something else out. But on a dorm site that has fallen now twice in a row to simply superior Okami attacks, really just does seem that Okami know exactly how to go through that clear, and Ariel Rise do not quite have it down enough to rely on it consistently. Now Okami on the attacking side, mind you, take a 3-2 advantage and are now sitting very pretty because Ariel Rise, lacking confidence in their dorm's hold, they're going to go downstairs and try meeting once again.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds to insertion.
Okami are also bringing the Flores again.
Attackers objective
I wonder,
is to bomb and defuse it.
maybe unaware they were going to switch up to meeting. We're just wanting to play it safe for the utility because there's not nearly as much bulletproof utility. There's only 2 shields they're worried about because Exile, last time they attacked this was Jackal. He was Jackal. But they figured they don't need it. Another switch from Ariel 2 is Doc. Doc is he has fallen off quite a bit. In fact, if you ask a lot of people, Doc is even like almost like like Cav. Like he just doesn't really bring anything anymore, especially with the advent of Thunderbird. Because normally, right, you play Doc, you used to play it for the ACOG. Let's not mince words. That's why people played Doc. It was for the ACOG and for the ability to get super aggressive while being able to heal yourself. Now that you only have that 1.5, I mean, it's like, why not just play Rook? Because they were pretty much the same operator. And now that Thunderbird's in play, she just has so much more longevity for the rest of her team than the Doc does because she doesn't have to be alive. Plus, she's at 3-speed with a rifle. She's got a C4. She's just so flexible. But I mean, hey, maybe Diaz is just nasty on the MP5. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because definitely going to have to prove why you turn down a better primary gadget and an AR as a defensive weapon. You don't get to say that very often, and, well, we'll see exactly how Ariel Rise can concoct this hold. It'll not be Wimpy this time, holding down the more aggressive position. Instead, that's Gomez, but the same role. An Alibi still in the mix here, which is a bit more unusual, but so far, nothing is too much of an issue yet for Ariel Rise. Gomez was able to rotate away safely downstairs to potentially get a late flank going, or at the very least, rotate back to the other side of the objective to provide support for his team later. Because his presence, or the fact that he has not been killed yet, you can see how it stalled out Okami a little bit. They're a bit more nervous than they were last time about pushing in, because now they have one extra player to come up against for this execute. The first player standing in their way is Diaz, who's continuously swinging as this Doc, but right now the plant's going down and somebody needs to step up and stop this.
Wav is going to get the pick on to Diaz as well. The Doc falls, the plant goes down, the trades are going the way of Okami until just then. Kento and Beastly tack on for 2. Lava gets the trade on the Echo though, but he's aware of this flank. Kento finds the better of him with the better angle, and it's Exile in a 1v2. Do the defenders have info? He's tucked in towards the lower tower stairs. He'll hear the attempt from Gomez, but he can't quite see him through the breach. He's going to have to make the play now. He'll get one and the second. Exile staying hidden, getting the last 2, saves the round for his team, and Okami take a 4-2 attacking half.
Man, that is a very good round and a great play from Exile. Okami pulling out yet another round that it really could have gone either way. This is the Oregon round that apparently we're seeing so far this stage in CL, where it all comes down to a flurry of kills, and it's just who comes out on top in the trades, who is playing better off of their teammates, who is close behind and ready to trade a kill right back. In this case, seemed like it was Ariel Rise, and for the most part, it was. The one element they couldn't quite deal with, though, was Exile, who was smart enough to sneak his way slowly up the stairs, get a Jaeger with his back turned, claim that kill, and quickly, and barely in time, mind you, dealing with Gomez as he tried to get that defuse. A very successful half from Okami. They now only sit 2 rounds away from looking at a match point situation, and they're on the defensive side of Oregon. Ariel Rise will now have to put on an equally powerful show on their attacking side if they want any shot at bringing this one back. But based on what we've seen so far, Okami look like they are simply overpowering Ariel Rise right now. So some adjustments clearly need to be made.
We'll have to see how much of this is Okami being really that much better, or whether or not this might just be an attacker-sided Oregon, right? Because Flores is left up, and Wamai is banned. That is a lot of advantage you're giving the attacks. And Okami were playing with their nades and playing with their Flores beautifully. I have almost, except for that one round where they were just adjusting over and over again in round number 1, I I think I have zero complaints about the utility usage from Okami. And if we
Mhm.
see that same kind of efficiency from Ariel, we might see a very similar level of success.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly. I mean, we saw how Okami struggled in that first round, also partly because they lost somebody at the onset, right? The opening frag went the way of Ariel Rise, and Okami had lost their Ash within, I don't know, 15 seconds of the round, it seemed. And that's going to put any utility game at an absolute standstill, even for the greatest of teams. And again, the opening pick in this half will go the way of Ariel Rise, but this one is on to Wav, who's already put down his utility. Yes, he is, tied for the top frag right now and is a very impactful player. But if you're going to lose anyone, have it be someone who's already expended their operator's gadget and is, just a gun in the fight. With this edge, though, Ariel Rise will now be looking to be as flexible as Okami on their attacking side to make sure they can pressure from just about everywhere. They've got the E-Box hatch open. The freezer hatch is likely next on the agenda, but they're getting their steps done quickly.
I was about to, I completely forgot to comment. Raffi on smoke, definitely odd. Even when he was on the hard support last stage on attack, he was still the Jaeger on defense. So Raffi on smoke is definitely an odd sight to see. Hopefully he is as good of one as I know players like Exile and Sonar can be. Earlier, you were talking about Okami really suffering in round one when they lost the opening pick, and the same thing will happen in this round as Wab was taken out very early. Now, lucky for them, he doesn't have a lot of utility. He's Jaeger. He's already put that all down. It's really just the loss of a gun, and quite a powerful one at that. Not just the gun itself, but also Wab, 7-4, tied at the top with his teammate of Exile, who's currently holding a very long angle and will get
Man.
sniped by Kento. Immediate nice shot from Exile. He knows how nasty that was. And that is Tyler Kento just displaying how incredibly mechanically talented he is. It's a two-man advantage for Ariel now as they start to push down. Lava looks the wrong way at the wrong time. Loses his life as well. It's Raffi and Sonar, the two SAS operators left to clutch up, but in comes a swing from Raffi. Doesn't look fully down the hallway. Sonar holding the angle, gets another after the C4, but can't find DS, and Ariel Rise take their first attack.
There honestly wasn't anything fancy about attack. It was simply a pillar-sided take, never indicating anything else. I thought they were going to get the freezer hatch open to at least imply they may be flexible elsewhere, but no. I mean, it was simply a pillar's take from the get-go. They didn't bother disguising it. They brute forced their way in, and it paid off. Great job from them, outfragging their opponent, beating Okami at every turn, and it certainly helps to have an absolute gunner at the helm like Kento, who simply just won out in several very key gunfights. First, that very impressive shot onto Exile, and then
That was
eventually
nasty.
working his way up that long hall, going for that wide swing, and dealing with one of those final two players that were holding
Attackers
down,
need
or
to
at least
locate and
attempting
defuse
to
bombs.
hold down the site. So Ariel Riser only one round away now from equalizing, and the potential of an attacker side at Oregon continues.
Bomb located by attackers.
10-5. Huge round for him. Dude, I still can't get over that shot. That was disgusting. And Okami are going to be holding it very similarly, only without a Cade and with a Valkyrie. So they've got a lot more info on the board. We saw Parabellum have a lot of success when it came to the info game in Laundry. Hopefully, for Okami's sake, they're able to replicate that.
5 seconds
I
remaining.
imagine, maybe even if they were watching the games, they might have similar Valk camps. The loss of the Cade isn't really a big deal, considering there's a Mav on the board. Wimpy was able to skate right by them. And I literally just noticed as well, we don't have a mute anymore. We have an alibi, and it's Sonar on it. Raffi's still sticking the smoke. Sonar is now, I think, like, for the first time ever, is just going to be able to cut loose.
Yeah, this is actually going to be fun to see. You give generally someone who is not a gunner by any stretch of the imagination, but you give them the MX4 Storm, the 1.5 times scope, and the freedom to just frag. We'll see exactly how that goes, as we will with what looks like a west-sided take from Ariel Rise. They're going to be working their way in from small tower. Pretty standard stuff at the onset, and that's exactly what Okami are going to be bringing out on their defense. A couple of players in the top of Freezer Stairs to initially shoot a couple of drones and apply that pressure, but the one added twist here is Sonar, who's now rotated up above on this roam. Ariel Rise, they may have droned out this top floor already because they're making this entry directly onto the first floor, and that's not something you usually do without a good bit of intel, but it's proven right there. Sonar will be spotted out, so he'll be forced to relocate, but instead of potentially finding himself in an engagement with the two players pushing up those armory stairs, he's going to tuck himself into closet, a very dangerous position. Well, now he'll have to fight for his life. The first engagement goes well, the second goes even better, a double kill for Sonar, and now he's going to look for 3.
Wow.
Pop right up and delete Kento, a triple kill for Sonar, and the round may have just been ended for Ariel Rise as they walk into Sonar's waiting arms, and the support player whips out that gun and turns into a fragger in an instant. Now he's only got 2 more players to find.
That's it. I guarantee. Nope. now that's it. We saw Beastly kind of tucked down the laundry stairs. He'll just get swung on by Wav, and wow, Sonar, what a play. Lava, unfortunately, is going to get blindsided, but DS gets immediately traded by Raffi, and Okami, off the back of Sonar, their newest pickup, one of their 2 newest pickups, and their new IGL. I mean, we know Sonar is capable of that from
Revenge
what we saw
sword, baby.
during the finals. But, I mean, he was droned. They knew exactly where he was. They had full info. He was in closet. There's no escape there. Just pre-fire the door. And yet he won 3 fights. That was incredible from Sonar.
That's the kind of play where, I mean,
Oh, we get to see it again, too.
the only way to put it is just ballsy. I mean, he knows when he goes into that closet, there is only one way this ends, and it is with a flurry of bullets, several gunfights. That's the only way he had out of that. I was expecting, maybe at the most he'll get 1, and then a trade will happen, and Ariel Rise will be fine. But he got 3, and he ended the round right there. It's as simple as that. We talked about it as the alibi pick came out, and maybe this general pretty hard support player would come out big, and wow, he really loosened up and it paid off.
Yeah, beautiful play from Sonar. You also got a feel for Wimpy, too. Wimpy got kind of timinged, because right when we thought the trade was going to come from Wimpy, when Sonar got the first pick and backed in the closet, Wimpy was like, all right, he's going to sit there, I'm going to nade him. And as he pulls the pin, Sonar peeks right out. I mean, I don't know if that was just unlucky timing or whether Sonar peeked off of the, because there's the very distinct sound cue of the pin being pulled.
Of course.
That may have been it as well. So whether or not that was just timing or whether or not that was a really smart play by Sonar, gotta feel for Wimpy there. But now it's a 5-3 advantage for Okami. They're ensuring that every time Ariel try and close the gap, Okami just edge it out every time.
Well, now heading up the top floor now, after a repeat of basement turned out to be successful, Okami are now looking to run away with this one. Ariel Rise, that is no good way to continue an attacking half that you really need to go well. No way to keep the morale up, because now the confidence for Okami and Sonar specifically have got to be at an all-time high. Now, despite that, Sonar will switch off to one of his more traditional roles. He'll whip out the smoke yet again, Raffi on the Goyo, and the fragging will likely be left to both Lava and Exile in this case, but that confidence, that still can't be underestimated enough. I mean, you've got a pretty solid gun, the SMG-11 in the hands of Sonar now, so we'll see how that comes into effect a bit later, because for now, it'll just be Ariel Rise and their early entry to shape the course of the round. We see a little bit of aggression from Wav, but it's Lava instead, who also applies some aggression and claims the opening pick onto Gomez. That's a big fragger off the board. That's a lot of utility off the board, and another great way to start for this defensive side.
Big pick from Lava, big utility pick onto the Zoe. He's still downstairs inside of security, tucked in with, I believe, that's Wav roaming with him downstairs. It looks like Kento doesn't really have any drones to work with either. He'll start droning for himself, and curiously enough, it's the Iana carrying the case, not Wimpy or Beastly or even Diaz. It's your primary entry. So that's a little bit odd. I'm sure that'll be rectified later in the round. My concern is if, with an aggressive player like Kento, if he continues pushing, he might drop pace in an unfortunate position. I am A
Big brain.
soothsayer. I am clairvoyant, apparently, because that is just what happened. Kento dies, two-man advantage. Case is dropped in no man's land at bottom white.
Diaz only steps away from recovering this diffuser, but so are two Okami defenders. You've got one, Wav, who's tucked here in kitchen and is applying a good bit of pressure. And now that's going to force Ariel Rise to pivot and try to get some manpower back. Thankfully, Diaz will get that kill onto Raffi. And in the meantime, you've got Wimpy to join, and he'll pick up that diffuser and move it to a little bit of a safer position. Next, that's going to be a nade, which will barely miss Exile fully. Exile will now have 1 HP pretty much for the rest of this round. There's no Thunderbird, no Doc in play, so he'll have to just cross his fingers and hope he survives. But Beastly and a Bearing 9 in hand have something to say about that. Wimpy strikes next. Wav responds, however, with a nice kill on to Beastly to keep this one even in a 2v2. Sonar goes for an aggressive swing, but the player on top white, that's Wimpy. He's going to deal a lot of damage to Sonar, finish off Wav, and now they're going to take control of this site. Both Diaz and Wimpy now swinging wide on in. Next step is to just get this diffuser down because Sonar, tucked away in attic, can't do anything about it. And as he swings to try to make an impact, Ariel Rise say no.
So what started as a poor roam clear ended up being recovered from Ariel Rise. Lava got a big two-piece downstairs, cutting down both your primary entries, but when it really mattered, the support stepped up. Nade from below from Wimpy, forcing Exile to rotate. The wall was already open, and we saw the flash changes really displayed there. I assume Raffi just kind of overstayed his welcome downstairs. And Wav, despite getting that initial flank, at that point, I mean, the damage that Okami had done early in the round was rectified. It was a 2v2 from a 5v3. I don't know if, and it wasn't really, we can't even say like Okami, oh, they got over aggressive, unless that's what happened to Lava and Rappi. But judging by the positioning, I don't think that's what happened. We can't even say like Okami got over aggressive or whatever. It's just Ariel regrouped and rallied very successfully and outplayed the hell out of the last 5 players. So beautiful stuff from Ariel Rise, but Okami are still 1 round away from guaranteeing a point, and they're going to try dorms again. And we know what happened the last time they repeated a site.
Yeah, that was brutal when Sonar was able to unleash, but he won't be changing things up on this repeat attempt this time. He'll stick with the smoke. One change, that's going to be Exile switching over to the Malusi. No more Aruni in play, so the laser gates off the board, but now you've got the Banshees in play, which of course are still a very potent piece of utility and a great, signal for when the attackers are approaching the objective, but they're of course much less powerful than they used to be. You now just walk into its radius and take it out with 1 bullet, but it's still a lot of intel and a little bit of that time delay for the side of the attack. Now, Ariel Rise, they're going to go about this rather similarly to start, but one big difference that I'm just noticing now is the Finca in play. Gomez is pulling out the Finca, which only suggests maybe some aggression, maybe a big window rush, maybe a white stairs rush to come in, because you bring the Finca and aggression generally follows suit.
Wav will get droned, so we can no longer flank by Freezer. Kento is going to end up hucking a nade onto top white to clear the barbed wire. And like you said, I'm really wondering what's going to happen with this Finca, because typically when you see a Finca, it means they are going to hit site fast and they are going to hit it hard, but they cannot establish the cross that they want because Trophy has not been cleared. There's still a shield there and still a player behind it. That's Exile on the Malusi. If Ariel Rise were to just try and rush up white right now, like they're setting up to do, that's probably not going to work. But never mind. Kento is just in, and it doesn't look like anyone from Okami is aware of this. He was able to just waltz in, and he's getting the plant down. What a sneaky play from Ariel. He won't get out with his life, but Wimpy still trades back the Malusi, and now downstairs control is established from Ariel. They have the post-plant position. Sonar's the next player to fall. It's all the kills for Ariel. Just Lava now in a 1 versus 4 post-plant. We'll find the player jumping through big window. You still got to find 1 white trophy and 1 on the roof, and he won't be able to do anything. Ariel with round 10 with one of the sneakiest plants I've ever seen.
Well, we knew the aggression was going to come, but we didn't know that Okami would just have no idea that somebody was in the bomb site, right? When I saw Wav running down below as the Valkyrie, he paused for a second
Yeah, I
right
thought he was gonna
underneath that
C4.
plant spot. Exactly. I swear that C4 was coming right around the corner, but no, when we switched over to Wab and actually saw what he was carrying, he still had that C4 in pocket. He didn't even pre-place that thing. I don't know what he paused to do, but it certainly didn't help
I think
Okami by any means.
I think he just got on cams,
That's
and he
that's
was just and
possible.
they just didn't have a cam watching default.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
that's tough because he's playing below
Protect your bomb
for
from
what
being
reason?
defused by
To get a
attackers.
C4 off on that planter and to apply pressure to Ariel Rise if they might get over aggressive in the site. And unfortunately, his job, he just didn't do his job there.
mm. And now the advantage Okami had, it has evaporated. We're back to even. Now we are going to go back to Laundry. Okami are 1-1 on this site with the most recent attempt being successful for them. But again, that was off the back of a Sonar 3K on the Roam.
10 seconds left.
While that was an incredible play from Sonar, you can't, and, it might happen again. You cannot rely on that being replicated. It is not,
Attackers' objective is to
in
locate a
theory,
bomb.
consistent enough, and it's rarely, only sometimes consistent in practice. He's gonna go for the roam again. Beastly nearly dies to a spawn peek through garage from Wav, but I'm gonna need to see something convincing in the hold itself from Okami if they want to put themselves on map point.
Yeah, this one could look a lot like our last series, could head quickly into overtime if neither of these teams really steps up and starts to take the lead. Looks like Lava and Gomez will exchange some bullets through the security soft wall all the way over through Kitchen. And in the meantime, Sonar is just busy doing a bit of reconstruction downstairs in the basement and into Elbow. So he won't be going for any sort of roam or any sort of extension right now. The only player somewhat extended, at least for a moment ago, was Raffi, who was holding down the tower stairs, but he'll back down, holding that shotgun, just keeping it close as he tucks himself over in Harry Potter. Now, Diaz has drawn that out a little bit and has determined that it's clear enough to work their way a little bit closer to the objective, or at the very least, start applying pressure from elsewhere, because now a little bit of a pivot is arriving here for this attacking team. They're going to work their way over towards the freezer side now, and Okami, they seem to be aware of this. You've got one player, that's Lava, working his way to the top of the stairs, but he gets quickly dealt with by Kento.
Yeah, tried to get aggressive against the players on Freezer, ending up
Bomb located by attackers.
dying to that. 4v5 now is unfortunately we have a, I don't know if that's not a mute bug. It's like the drone static bug. As Ariel Rise continue to push down towards Freezer. We hear, oh, here's
Like, why
tonight.
can't
Oh,
I
there we
hear
go.
anything?
Finally, it's fixed. Back to sound. Perfect. A minute left for Ariel to make this push. An aggressive swing from the Malusi deals a lot of damage to Wimpy, but Exile is unable to find the kill itself. Sonar's the next. He'll finally finish off Wimpy, peeking over towards Laundry. He'll get a second. Are we going to see Superstar Sonar again, looking for a third, but can't collect Kento? A triple kill for the Iana. Raffi is the next to die. Kento is on for the ace. All he's got to do is find Wav, and Ariel Rise will confirm the point over Okami. Okami, the lead they had, it will completely be shattered. An ace from Kento will put Ariel Rise on map and match point, denying the full win from Okami.
There were two players we talked about coming into this matchup more than others, Harrison. It was Sonar and it was Kento. And both of these players are putting on an absolute clinic right now. But in that last round, it was Kento who prevailed. Sonar opened things up with an absolute heater, got a couple of kills just holding down Freezer, but Kento was quick behind. Sonar was a little bit over aggressive. He wanted to go for more. He wanted to get that flashy play, but the only thing he did was put his team in an uncomfortable position, because once he died, nobody was left actively holding that Freezer cross, and Kento could essentially just push all the way up to the breach and start fragging out. And well, we saw how he did that. He got all 5 kills to give Ariel Rise the round. And while I don't believe that is the most sustainable way to win, it's not like it was a 1v5. It's not like everyone from Ariel Rise had fallen around him. No, it was a convincing Ariel Rise round once that execute actually began because Okami started to crumble and they just could not hold it together once the overwhelming freezer push arrived on site.
Hmm. It really looked like it was going to be an Okami map.
10 seconds remaining.
Again, when it was 5-3,
Attackers have discovered the location.
I was like, all right,
5 seconds.
Okami got this. Like there's no way. But Ariel Rise have taken 3 in a row, and if I'm not mistaken, Ariel Rise took their timeout. Okami have not yet, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder why. Maybe they're assuming that they're going to win the offsite and save their timeout for OT, but because I know Okami do have support staff. They have a coach and an analyst. And I mean, going from 5-3 to 5-6, I would imagine this would be like, the opportunity to take that timeout and try and recollect yourselves.
Well, Sonar will once again be hoping to collect a few kills at least, as he repeats his alibi choice, the one he has been most frag heavy on so far. And it seems that Okami are going to continue with that kind of style, putting Exile on a more supportive role on the Goyo instead of someone like Raffi or someone like Sonar, because things are changing around just a little bit. No one getting into a skirmish just yet as Ariel Rise begin to figure out what kind of hold they're dealing with on this meeting and kitchen defense. Now, nobody has really entered this top floor just yet because Ariel Rise are all bunched up and they look ready to approach this meeting wall. The one player standing in their way, as usual, there's an alibi sitting here directly in the middle of meeting whose job it is to pressure this wall as much as possible. But Kento is in a perfect position to get the rotation. Because what is Sonar likely to do if he gets pressure too much? Drop down into the waiting arms of the attack.
Hey, if someone stays watching that hatch, Sonar is probably a dead man. But what it does do is it takes away a body from the push. Luckily, that might not be too much of a worry for Ariel because they have not lost anyone. It's looking like a full 5v5 execute and make that a 5v4 before Sonar trades off Gomez. So you've lost a bandit for a Zoe. At that point, that's pretty inconsequential, but Kento ends up getting aggressive under the E-box hatch and finds Sonar. That is a big pick. That's your stage player now dead, and Lava is left to cover the long angle with the 416. He'll see one cross, not pull the trigger just yet. He wanted to keep his position hidden, but shooting that drone probably just revealed it, and Exile is unfortunately stuck up towards Attic. Actually, wait, maybe not. There's no one actually really watching him. I mean, I assume there's a drone or an air jab, but no actual body dedicated to it. Lava will find the equalizer as well. It's a 3v3, but Diaz will team kill. No! That is the worst possible time. Now Beastly has to plant, and it's right in full view of Split. And Okami take round number 12. What was a 3v3 and even man count? Diaz getting that TK means there's one less on the cover. The plant spot completely exposed to the player's Split. And that'll bring us to OT for the second time today.
And on Oregon as well. I mean, we're right back in the action here. But Harrison, I got to admit, I really thought the round was over and the map was over the moment Kento got that kill onto Sonar. He made the decision, a bold one, to go right up below the E-box hatch, exactly where Sonar was looking until, that exact moment, and search for that frag. And when he found it, I was certain that Ariel Rise would use that as a springboard to just cascade into the site and take control. But the problem was they got a bit indecisive. And that's not something we've seen from Ariel Rise very much on the attack or the defensive half. Most of the decisions they've been making have been quick, and they've been very, very strong. Unfortunately, the moment they got that kill, it should have freed up the objective. It should have given them the green light to say, let's attempt this plant, at least tease the plant to force those Split players to swing out and get aggressive, maybe bait a C4 out. But instead, they waited around and tried to figure out the best approach, when in fact, the best approach would probably have been, don't take the time to figure out the best approach. Just send it on in there because you've got the advantage. You've got the control that you've spent 2.5 minutes working for. but they just did not commit in time. And Okami were spread out enough and positioned well enough to punish that very time delay that Ariel Rise forced upon themselves.
That's an issue we saw from Ariel Rise back when they were known as KCP in the last split, in last stage, right? One of their biggest criticisms was that they were just too damn indecisive. Hopefully that's not an issue that plagues them throughout this stage as well. I also really got to hand it to Lava. He's been having a bit of a slow game, but the shot he hit holding the tight angle onto the breach, I think it was, I believe onto Kento, must have been a nasty one and just never gave up split. He's the reason why he's a big part of why they were able to win that round. Exile has also now swapped off of Goyo onto Valkyrie, so you've got less shields to play with, but Ariel Rise never really cleared the whole top floor. Like in Attic, they never pushed through Attic. They just had an air jab there. So Exile figures, hey, if they're not going to fully contest me here, I don't need the shield. I might as well bring some extra info for my team. And we know how important Valkyrie has been, not only for these teams, but in the last match as well.
Well, the frags that are going to be found in the next few seconds will likely pave the way for this entire rest of the round, and even OT, because Okami, starting on this defensive side, they need to find this round here, because this was the half that they were actually a bit weaker on. We've seen an attacker-sided Oregon so far, and Ariel Rise could theoretically consider themselves in the upper hand. Unfortunately, a Rotero drone is going to force Sonar out of that position, possibly giving Ariel Rise a bit more freedom to work around this breach, but they are once again taking their time to figure out this hold. Gomez is going to send yet another Rotero drone into meeting, figuring out where Sonar is positioned, and maybe force him out a little bit more, but that's not going to get the job done. There's no real utility to clear. They're just looking for intel right now, and they're not acting off it soon enough. Sonar continues to be aggressive, but he misses some crucial shots, opening the door for Wimpy and opening the door for this entire attacking team.
You said last time, that kill on the stage player should have been the green light for Ariel. Will they take the initiative this time? It might be now, as Gomez finds the kill on the lava. Plant going down from Beastly. Raffi and Exile still upstairs. Here's the C4. It'll miss from Wab because the planter got off. Diaz will find Exile upstairs. There's the flank watch we were looking for, and Kento finds another. It's all up to Raffi, but it's a flawless round for Ariel. A perfect execute on meeting gives them the advantage in OT.
Yeah, they've got a big advantage now because they will switch off to the defense, and there was one objective that they didn't lose. They went to the basement twice, and they won it twice. Every other objective went the way of Okami 100% of the time. But Okami have yet to figure out how to attack this basement site properly, or at least get through the Ariel Rise hold that has been very successful down here. And that's exactly what we're going to see. Straight back downstairs. Looks like an intel-focused game here from Ariel Rise. And on the side of Okami, they're bringing out the attacking lineup we saw every single time. The difference is that we're going to see the Flores instead of the Jackal, instead of that Twitch. So I'd argue the perfect pick for a basement site like this that will depend heavily on their ability to clear out that utility and all of those power positions that we've talked so much about. But if you recall, despite their ability to do that, they still weren't able to take even that second basement attacking round that they attempted. Ariel Rise seemed to have this down pat. Question is, can Okami finally overcome that? Because they need to if they want to have a shot at taking the 2 points out of this matchup.
Yeah, that's worrying. Even though they had the Flores, even though they had the perfect utility clear on basement, they still couldn't win it. They just lost all of their fights trying to push in. So Ariel are likely very comfortable right now. They're probably thinking to themselves, all right, yeah, it's wraps. We win right here. They have not lost Laundry, like it pointed out. We're going to need something drastically different from Okami. Hopefully we get the same efficient utility clear, only with the positions being established a little bit better. I do have to say, too, because of the focus of the Rotero drones on the utility clear, we didn't see as much droning of the site itself. That could also be a factor as to why they just kind of died on their entry in. Kento is once again aggressive on Laundry Stairs. He got an early pick on Raffi in an earlier round, but he won't find it again. Raffi being very careful, but still dies. Wow! Kento, as Raffi opens up that default flank watch position above the top of Armory Stairs that we have seen since this map came out, Kento is going to follow the tracers, do a little bit of trig, and floor bang Raffi. What a start. And I mean, with that kill right there, we saw how much Okami suffered losing the opening pick of Raffi on Ash attacking Laundry.
This is very worrisome for Okami, because if this is a mirror image of the very first round of this map, this, well, it's not going to be very close much longer. At least they've fought from this position before. They know exactly what they need to do now. They know exactly what they struggled with last time, and namely, it's that shield positioned in Laundry, where a close pixel can be held, and you can either look towards Freezer or look towards the bottom of those Laundry stairs. Because Okami, they seem pretty interested in going for this Freezer and Laundry push, and they still have a long way to go. They have 2 deployable shields staring them in the face. They have a lot of ADSs to clear out in Freezer itself, and Lava is going to try to do this the hard way by lobbing a frag grenade as he eats a face full of that toxic gas, and he will be successful, but he will pay about 50 HP for his troubles.
He also shot a Gon 6. I don't know if that was supposed to clear the shield through the rotate, but it was unsuccessful. Sonar is going to get the equalizer onto Gomez as Okami are now pushed very far into Freezer, all the way up towards Locker. Sonar is going to attempt another nade that might end up clearing that shield and also dealing a little bit of damage to Diaz. Wav eats some gas, but here's Lava pushing through Freezer, getting the pick onto Beastly. Man count now in Okami's favor. 4 versus 3. 40 seconds left. Wav still being stopped by these gas canisters, and there's the swing from Diaz to equalize once again. These two teams just cannot shake each other, and now it's Kento staring at this Freezer cross. At least he was, but there's his death. Wav with an excellent headshot, and once again, it's a man advantage, but it will be equalized. Wimpy gets cut down. It's a 1v2 for Diaz. He's on low HP, but so is Wav, and Exile is going to have to plant soon. The time is running low. He's even got a C4. This round could be ended by the explosive right here, but instead he'll go for the peak. Swinging around finds one, but Wav gets the trade with the bearing 9. Okami take us to max OT, and I really have to question why Diaz didn't just use his C4.
Yeah, I'm gonna join you right there, Harrison. I mean, he had an excellent round. That was a triple kill for him. He was on for the quad if he had pulled that one out, and of course the clutch, but a C4 would have completely changed the course of the round, because the plant spot that was attempted was in the range of that C4 from the long haul. He didn't have to go around towards Freezer to throw it. He could have thrown it from the position that we saw him in right at the onset. Had he done that, that would have been a guaranteed kill. At that point, the diffuser would have been dropped. It could have been picked up, but there's no way you're going to be able to get that plant down if you're Okami. There's just none, because what we saw Diaz do successfully, the rotation into Freezer, he had a perfect line of sight onto any single position that Okami could have possibly planted. But unfortunately, just a slight misstep after a very strong early round from him, that's going to cost Ariel Rise the round, and that's going to force them to head back on the attacking side to pull something out yet again. We're going to have to see all 15 rounds for the conclusion of our second map of the day. And this one, I mean, it is really ramping up to be exciting, but seeing this dorm site come out now from Okami, I'm got to admit I'm a little bit worried, because they have yet to hold this down on defense yet.
Yeah, they are 0-2 on this site. Granted, they probably should be 1-1. They are 0-2. And now we have a very risky play. Wav, Ella shotgun. Where is Wav playing? He is playing bottom lower Freezer with Ella shotgun. So I guarantee he's not going to be peeking the hallway. He's going to be more just holding across, waiting for the push up white, and looking for those easy shotgun kills. Once again, Ariel Rise will be bringing the Finka as well. Of course, those Ella mines, I believe the Finka makes the concussion wear off faster, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the interaction. And Okami do have the Valkyrie again. Hopefully their info is placed a little bit better around the site. I'm just really excited to see what happens with this Ella.
Yeah, you said it's a risky play I mean, I got to agree. This is not the kind of play you generally bring out in a very high stakes round 15 situation like this, but sometimes you got to mix it up, especially like we've both highlighted already, Harrison, that this site has not gone Okami's way either time they tried to defend it. Wasted C4, that's the sound we just heard, is Exile using that to probably just lob it at the big window, but he'll come up with nothing. That means that Ariel Rise have a little bit more freedom in terms of this plant, and if they do want to go for another, not necessarily rush, but a more aggressive push into the site, that's another piece of utility they don't have to panic about. For now, though, they will remain passive, or at least patient, as they put a couple of drones in the mix and figure out exactly what kind of hold they're dealing with, and if anyone is sneaking up from behind. But Okami, they aren't going for any crazy flank just yet. WAV may be looking to do that, but for now, they're all tucked away on the site while they wait for Ariel Rise to spring into action. It looks like it's going to get going any second now, but these Attic players have got to be very careful because WAV is very close behind, although he'll rotate away and think twice.
I'm wondering where he's going to make his stake because these positions the attackers are in are not the best for an Ella shotgun, but here's the peak. Rafi's going to get one. Deagle out gets the second. Rafi goes huge in Attic, and denying the split may have just denied this entire round from Ariel. Here comes a nade. It'll be able to down Rafi, but Lava gets the next one on to Gomez. It's Beastly and Kento against the world right now. Kento has to step up big, but he'll fall. It's Beastly alone. 1v3. He's concussed. There's someone coming from his backside. WAV might go for the flank. Rafi will get picked up, making this a 1v4 now. And as Beastly makes his entry in, there's only 12 seconds left, and he'll get caught by the pistol. A one-tap from WAV finishes the match. 8-7 Okami.
A brutal way. Holy moly. A brutal way to lose out in those closing moments. Just a dirty one-tap and a decisive Okami round that really looked like it came out of nowhere. I mean, that was a performance and a half. It took all 15 rounds for Okami to make it happen, and they won't walk away with the full 3 points, but they will get the satisfaction of a win. They will get the 2 points from this matchup, and they will claim their territory as a very strong contender in this Group A.